All right. Welcome, everyone, to the July 23rd meeting of the Board of Trustees of the Pound Ridge Library. It is 7:30, and we will get started. First, I just want to take attendance. I'll go on the other way. Bob Bellhouse, Rich Levan. Microphones, please. John Cristiano.
Present.
Michael Clark.
Here.
Ann Benefico. Selena Shen.
Hello.
Jenna Wise.
Here.
And Lexi is has an excused absence tonight, if we can make sure we have that in the record. And Valerie's here. Next meeting, which is August. Okay, then I only have one meeting left instead of two, Anne. So just for me, I'm traveling 1 week, on vacation 1 week. So the week of August 18th is the only week in August I can actually have a meeting. So just wanted to check folks' calendar for the week of August 18th. If that does not work for anyone, then we'll do it in a week when I cannot be here. Yes. Okay. 19th, August 19th. You okay? Okay. Everyone else is good? Okay.
Yeah, find where I put your mat.
No, and that's important. You'll find it.
Marilyn, if that's you, could you put your phone on mute, please? Fine. Okay, I need a motion to approve the minutes of the June 18th meeting. Bob Hellhouse made a motion to approve the minutes. Anyone seconded it?
I second.
Michael Clark, thank you. All those in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? Ready. Okay, first thing on our agenda is our facility manager's report. Bonnie, you're going to speak? Or is Jennifer speaking? Bonnie speaking? All right. Yeah, direct from the...
Hi, guys. For those of you who know me, I'm Bonnie. I was on the library board for 7 years. For those that don't know me, I've been here for 32 years. I was on the library board for 7 years. 2 of them was board president. And now I'm buildings facility and grounds management, whatever you want to call me. Anyway, I did have a report that I sent to Jennifer that I think you have in your Dropbox. And many things have been accomplished. The other couple of things that I've addressed with Jennifer, and I always CC Valerie, is that there is a pothole or divot, if you want to call it, leading out of the driveway to Westchester. As we know, we are a very bad intersection, unfortunately. And so I would like the board to give me approval. It will cost probably, well, I spoke to J&B Paving, it will cost about $300 to $400 to fill that pothole. Then in the I guess it's called what do I want to say? I'm sorry? The railroad ties. It's where we park, or people park. Unfortunately, they're not always disabled, but it's our disability and handicap parking. So the railroad tie is actually rotted. So I would like that replaced. Again, that will only cost a couple $100, and that should be replaced. And then you have in your Dropbox, you have gutter repair and gutter replacement. And you also have a roof. Perry Roofing did our roof about 3 to 4 years ago when we were walking around. Unfortunately, when our gutter over here where Alan sits, the gutter is actually caved in and water is dripping down. I think that was part of your problem when you had the basement leak, but also Perry Roofing noticed that the tiles were all broken. So when that limb hit, it actually broke our roof, unfortunately. So there's a separate estimate for the roof. It's less than $1,500. Since Perry Roofing did our roof, I think that the board should consider just doing, I think it was $700 or something. We should consider hiring them just to do the roof. So the gutter repair, you had Eric's before I came on board, and he wanted $1,400, I believe, just to do exploratory. Then you have Honeydew Men, and then you have Perry's Roofing. So with the gutters, I did speak to Jim Perry. I had an informal meeting. Jim Perry does not care if we use white aluminum or if we use copper, but so right now, all of our gutters, except for that one that's broken, is 6-inch. The one that's broken is copper. It's 4-inch. It's been recommended by every gutter company that we do a 6-inch. So obviously, there's a big difference in price, copper versus white aluminum. As a courtesy call, Jim Perry had me call Ed. He's head of landmarks. I have not heard back from him, but as a courtesy call, he said, Jim Perry has said on record, he doesn't care what we do, but he wants Ed to, as a courtesy call for us to go through, because we are a landmarks building. Landmarks is anything from the road. And so that gutter you can see from the road, not right now because the trees are there, but in the winter, you definitely can see the gutter. And so that's where we stand. So I would like the board to approve the aluminum gutter as well as the copper, because if Ed says he prefers copper, I think that we should go with what they prefer. Yes, Bob.
Microphone, please.
Thanks, Bonnie.
You're welcome.
Is the rest of the gutter system copper or aluminum
No,
or mixed?
It's all white, 6-inch
white.
aluminum. Jim doesn't know the history, but we did have a lot of repairs and, going back 10, 15 years, 20 years. So he does think that the gutters were repaired during all those, or replaced during all those repairs that we had on this building. Unfortunately, I've only been on the board for 7 years and we don't have a lot of continuity on this board. And so I don't know the history. That's all I can tell you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions?
I would like the board to go with Perry just because there's continuity with our roofing. He said that when he does the roof and the gutter, he would look at all the gutters there. He was going to charge us $15, but so the gutter out here is a little dented and he was actually going to fix that and slant it as well. And he was going to fix all the gutter systems and make sure that the holding of the gutters and the downspouts and everything were connected. So just to let you know, we did have a leak here in the Schaffner room, right where Jennifer's sitting actually. And Perry came the next day, fixed it, charged us very minimal. It was here for less than an hour. And there was on our roof, there was the gutters and leaders that were not connected. And so that's something that he does when he does repairs here. So I think it's nice to have that continuity with him, but it's up to you guys.
So there's gutter repair option 1 and gutter repair option 2. You're recommending option 1 with 6-inch copper? Or
Well, everything should be 6-inch.
6-inch what?
Yeah, everything should be 6-inch,
Oh.
whether it's copper or white aluminum. It should be, there's an obviously difference between copper and white. I mean, huge. Copper is handmade. There's an obvious difference. If the landmarks does tell us we need copper, then we have to go with copper, to be quite frank. And that's what Jim Perry said. Jim Perry does not have a preference, but we have to go to landmarks.
So you're asking us to approve up to 4,200 based on what landmarks tells us?
Exactly.
Or requests? Okay.
Exactly. Well, yes.
Questions, motion?
Bonnie has made a lot of recommendations in her report. Are we going to are you going to adopt them, or what should be on the table?
Sure. So the pothole and some of the other things she recommended are under Jennifer's approval. So if Jennifer wants to work with Bonnie and get those things done, she can. I don't think we need to vote on a, $500 or $700 item. We do need to vote on the gutter repair.
And
Yeah.
where is that railroad tie replacement that we're talking about? Right outside the side entrance
It's
here?
right outside the handicap. When you go out this door, it's literally
Where they
right
park?
where the handicap parks. So I don't really know where you guys stand with the driveway. Obviously, if you do the driveway, the handicap won't be here. It will be across the street. So you'll probably do a finish with the railroad tie. You'll probably do a different finish. But in the interim, it is rotted. But I don't know where you stand with the driveway. So, but the handicap won't be here if you do anything with the driveway. It will be across the 5 spots. The handicap has to go over there.
Okay.
I personally like the idea of using the same guy who does the roof. So I'm going to make a motion that, and I like the way, Ann, you expressed that, which is that we approve up to $4,200 for gutter repair replacement, subject to landmarks checking in.
I second. Was that a motion? It was, okay. I second.
Okay. And then keep in mind that I'm going to have them, Perry, also do the tile repair, which I think came in $500 or $700. Yeah, yes, exactly. And then we have painting. So there's, it's not.
Just a second, but
Yes.
in your survey, are there other trees that we have to be worried about?
No, so we took down, it was under $1,500. It was actually only $500. So we have an easement in the back. There's 2 people that live back there. There's Mr. and Mrs. Carmichael and Mr. and Mrs. Pierce. So when you drive back in the driveway on the right-hand side, there were 2, not particularly big, large, but they were evergreens and they were dead. And so I had Lupino take them down because you guys have cars that park over there and they were definitely dead. So that was kind of an emergency. It was $500. I had that taken care of. And then the grates, all the grates, I had Lupino look at them, and then I met Lupino back in the easement access. And the grate now I think we fixed because that road floods, and that's how come we're always repairing. It's a dirt road, and that's how come we're always repairing all those potholes, because it floods. And because it floods, because the grates are always clogged, and it floods, and then water and rain and ice and everything. So now I had Lupino do a bunch of rocks, and because the sediment usually comes down and sits in the grate. So in the last storm, which was 2 Mondays ago, which was a very heavy storm, we had no damage over there. So I think the rocks are holding back the sediment and everything. And I think that's a fix. And that's what we did the cottage about 3 years ago. We had all the rocks and everything, and they've had no issues now. And then we have a grate going into the downstairs, your basement area where you have the Century children's area. And so there's a grate there. I can't do rocks or anything, but I have Lupino's your landscaper. So every Monday he comes here. I've met him. I've told him he must clean out the grates every Monday. And that's, I think, going to actually help a lot of your water issues.
Great.
Yeah. I mean, it's an easy fix. It's going to take him, less than 5 minutes. So painting, so it's not really painting. It's actually, if you go, especially the front of our building, if you walk outside the front door and you make a right and you go along the windowsills and everything, we have a lot of rotted wood. It's windowsills. We have a lot of rotted wood, an old building, and we have a lot of, I wouldn't say it's not mold by any means, but it's mildewing stuff. So we need to have everything power washed. But when you power wash, there is a lot of rotted wood. And all you have to do is take a pencil or something or pen, which I do with every contractor. And there's many pictures up there.
Well, it was nice that, I don't know, did Lynn, did Graham take those pictures? It was nice.
We all did. We
Oh,
all
we did. Okay. Because it's, the pictures were attached to
So
his
we
proposal.
all did.
Okay.
And so you can see all the rotted windowsills. It needs to be replaced. We're going into the winter months. This is where your heat escapes. This is all the rotted wood. Again, we're a wood building, we're older, and it needs to be replaced, I feel, before the winter. So I got 3 quotes. big difference in price.
From the low to the high, yeah.
Exactly. I mean, some people want to do, well, we should power wash the whole building, because once you power wash the building, then you really see the rot. But, you know, I would say Genesis, I think that we have a history with them, and I think they're on the low end. And he said that he would come back to us if he finds any more rot. There's a big difference. The other painters wanted to go a little more extra, but I think we should do the conservative approach and just replace the rotted wood that we could see. But again, once you start power washing, we might see more, but let's just go, in my personal opinion, with the conservative. And that's what we saw. So Genesis Linen and BP Painting, I walked with all three contractors, and you know, Genesis had a more conservative approach, which I think is the better way to do it.
I make a motion that we go with Genesis, spend up to $2,900 to do the power washing and painting and minor carpentry.
A second.
I
All-
just like to wonder about the amount, because my reading of all of the proposals is that there's this added per hour fee for additional work or wood. And I wonder whether we might just, you know, pick a rounder number, 3,500 or something, so that we can cover some of these possible extra costs.
We could do that. We can go up a little bit higher. So motion for 3,500. Does that work? You seconding it again?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? Thank you. Thank you, Bonnie.
Welcome. Any other questions?
Nope, I think we're good.
Thanks, guys. Nice to see everyone. Bob, thank you.
Next is Mike Clark, Treasurer's Report.
It's in your green folder, and you can see that the audit is in progress, and it was my responsibility to approve their access to our information, which I did. We're still working on this 3-month CD, and I have now in my hands the proper signatures. And then that goes down to a discussion then that I don't know, I think if I saw your note, Jennifer, is it that our auditors were the original people who recommended that we go to the electronic payments? So the discussion is that now we've been on electronic payments for several months. It's working, but I think Jennifer has some concerns about vendor comments. And so we wanted to discuss whether to return to the paper check approach.
Bob, you want to give Jennifer the mic? You want to share what you're hearing?
Oh, sure. So when we have the banks cut the check, it takes another 7 to 10 days, whereas typically we would cut the check and put it in the mail the next day. So I'm getting a lot of calls. Are you sure you sent it? Can you check with the bank? And it's 7 to 10 days more likely rather than 1 or 2. And it's making it a lot less efficient for me because I have to go back and check. I have to get Heidi to go back and check and everything. It's really slowing down everything.
Wait, it's taking 7 to 10 days for the electronic funds transfer?
So what Bonnie or Heidi is recommending is to do an ACH transfer instead, which is sort of like a direct deposit. That would take 2 to 3 days. So that would really speed up the
Yeah,
whole
I think
process.
most of us thought when we were moving electronically that it was the fast approach, not the bank cutting a check
Right.
and mailing a check, which I completely agree takes an excessive amount of time. So I'm totally on board with ACH. Like I said, that's what I thought we were doing from
Yeah,
the beginning.
I thought it was
Yeah.
ACH also.
She called everybody on the list today, and most of the people prefer a paper check. She got maybe 3 people that were okay with doing an ACH, but it's a matter of, sharing your bank account number, your ACH number and everything. So I guess maybe it feels a little intrusive to people. So 90% of the people would prefer to stick with a paper check.
I think we're good payers. I think we will always not going to bounce a check. I think if they have to wait an extra 7 or 10 days, then so be it. If it's easier for us and our controls, I don't know. I don't have to cater to vendors then coming through is what my opinion is. If it's easier for us, it's more efficient. If they're not on ACH, they should be. And if they want to get paid in 2 days, they should figure out how to do it. It's free for them as well.
Yeah,
That's my
I kind
opinion.
of agree with you, John. In fact, I would say I wouldn't make all those phone calls. I would say, yep, We've sent the file over to the bank. You know, like, it just seems silly to me that we're spending, if you go the old way where we sign checks, that's time and energy that we took to sign the checks, right? As I think I said, one of the reasons I wanted to move to a different system was all I did was sat there and signed the checks. I mean, we didn't look at the payment amount. We didn't make sure it was accurate. We assumed that Heidi's doing her job. And so there's a little bit of liability personally that I was like, I'm sitting here signing a check and I have no idea if it's the right person or the right amount, which worried me. I get Heidi's the one going in and putting it in the bank now, and we're not looking at it unless it's over a certain dollar amount, right? Aren't you looking at it over, or are you looking at all of them?
Just about all of them have to be approved. So after I
Okay.
leave this meeting, I have 24 hours to approve all of the things that Heidi has put in. So yeah.
So same
it's
time commitment is what you're
same time
saying.
commitment, but more review. Yeah. I think also, I believe the original recommendation had to do with more security, that this was a more secure way of handling money.
Yeah, it is.
So,
Paper check is our ACH number. It has our check on it, it has all information on it. Every single one that we send out is liability every single month, and we're sending out dozens of them. So this isn't even like cutting edge. I mean, this is 1997. I think we can do this. And I think our vendors should get on board. I don't think it's us slow paying.
Okay, well, you know, we can just say, hey, like moving forward, our payments will be done this way. You can expect, you know, some amount of time. That's business.
What does the vendor have to do to get the ACH, to get it in 24, 48 hours? What do they have to do on their end? Oh, like we
Once.
do to get, like we do to get paid, like we do to get our paycheck or whatever, like you show someone a blank check and, okay. So I don't understand. What was the bank doing? They were actually, they were writing out a check and mailing it? Yeah, that
you know,
was.
we have a lot of minor, I won't call them minor, they're beautiful people, but they're not big money vendors. And so a lot of them don't have this kind of sophistication. So, you know, some of our monthly programs and things, it's a couple $100 at a time.
Yeah, they have to catch up. That's it. Their bank would prefer, if they're using a bank, would prefer an ACH. Their bank could explain to them how to do it. We don't have to be involved at all.
I completely agree with John. I just wonder, I think in addition to that, there could be some reaction by our vendors to the fact, well, I always used to get paid by check and it arrived quickly, and now I'm not. And it's like a one-time reaction until they get used to the new situation. And as you point out, they have an alternative. They could choose to go with ACH if they wanted to. So I agree with you.
Anybody have an opposing view? So I think we're going to keep the current process or offer them ACH. And obviously, you know, we would prefer ACH and they would get paid faster if they accepted ACH. I'm assuming they're all taking Venmo and Zelle. I don't know if our bank can Zelle instead, or we can do
That's
it
what I was gonna
via
say.
Zelle, because
Yeah.
that's another mechanism that's pretty simple. There's
fast.
some risk, I
I know it has a
suppose.
personal Zelle personally, but I haven't explored business transactions. that
Business,
way.
yeah, to business transactions. Yeah, I don't know either. I know.
I think they should be the flexible ones on how we want to pay them. Doesn't usually go the other way. I have to go through hoops to pay
Yeah.
them.
No,
So-
I'm totally on board. We're continue our current process or offer ACH.
So then I'll complete my report by saying that if you look down to the endowments, at this point, we have $53,000 of cash available. So, you know, it's just a pleasure to work with Barry at WFA and he checks with John and I every time he wants to make any kind of purchase. So just so the board would know that there is that cash available.
Thanks, Mike. Before we move on, I have one more question since you mentioned the trusts. Don't we have an obligation, Jennifer? You might remember this. I can't remember if Ann was here. An obligation to visit the memorial. Is that, are we at that time in life where we need to check on the memorial?
Oh, is that you? So, yeah, so, yeah, I used to go every year and it's actually been in the back of my mind to go. But when we went there, we would check in with the office because I also thought that we were supposed to report back to some attorneys that we were there. And the cemetery had no record of that. There was another step and the cemetery had no record of it, that we were. Do you remember? Didn't have something to do with the family's attorney?
I do, and I have a binder with all that information. I think we went back to the archives to try and locate that attorney. I'm pretty sure we found them. So check with me and
But
I
who
will
was
find it.
reporting? Was anyone reporting to the attorneys that we went?
Yeah.
You were.
Yeah, I
Not-
guess it was
okay.
me then.
Okay, so maybe when we got to the cemetery, we asked the office if anyone else checked on it, or was it just the library?
Right. They didn't have any information,
They
but
had
we ended
none.
up finding it in the archives.
Correct,
That's my
okay.
recollection. And then
Yeah,
you have
okay.
pictures and all that.
All right, so let's make a plan. And I'm happy to go with you unless someone else wants to go, or we could do a field trip, everybody. But I think we should plan. I can't remember when we visited last time in the summer. Okay, yeah. All right, so let's do that. And then Jennifer will find the who we have to notify that we did our duty under the trust. All right, next is warrants. Any questions on the warrants?
Two little questions. Okay. So I saw that, didn't Morgan put in an application to take the civil service test? Okay, I saw that invoice. Good. So that would be for librarian. What would that be?
Before library clerk.
Library clerk. Okay. And then there was an invoice for DNR Labs with 3 codes. Did we decide how that was billed?
No,
or-
I didn't. know what to-
Okay. And then I see we have a monthly, I don't know if I missed this before. We have a monthly subscription to ChatGPT.
We do.
Okay, cool. So you use that for marketing and writing
Exactly.
and,
And it's, I use it a lot.
great.
And every
Okay.
day to- Yeah,
No,
it was where it's.
I
it's
noticed
worth
it. No,
yeah.
great.
It's
Yeah.
amazing. It's
It
made
is
me so
amazing.
much more efficient. Yeah,
Yeah.
best money we ever
Okay.
spent.
That's, that was just observations. Okay. When is Morgan taking or did she take the test? or-
They wait until they have a certain number of people signed up and then they give the
Okay,
test.
and
so
then
we
they
don't know
offer it.
yet.
Okay, thank you.
Jennifer, explain to me again, you have in the past, we're paying WLS still for $7,000. And what are they covering there that the right click or not?
It's called the ILS. It's that database that we use to all check in books and check out books and everything, the
got it.
collection.
Yes,
Yeah.
thank you.
So we're only with them for what we absolutely have to, plus they do our Gmail.
Any other questions?
Just quickly on the ChatGPT thing.
Yeah.
Are we using it enough to get
Oh, yes.
past the free amount?
Oh my gosh, yes. Where I mean,
Okay.
I'm making all the little gentrification labels, spine labels for the children's room for
Okay.
that whole project
Okay,
and everything.
great.
It is absolutely worth it.
Great.
Yeah. I did used to have the free account and I just ran into, they would only do say 2 images a day or something. And I need, 30 a day sometimes.
Okay, anything else? All right, do I have a motion on the warrants? 45,703.14 with the addendum. I think I'm allowed to make a motion. I'm happy to make a motion that we pay the warrants in the amount of $45,703.14.
I second.
Thank you, Selena. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, and yep.
Just so the groups know, I already transferred today the money to cover the warrants.
Great, thank you. Okay, and I think with that, we're gonna move on to audit. Want to come speak to us? Sure.
Good evening. Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Jeff Shaver. I'm a partner with PKF O'Connor Davies. Happy to be here to present the results of the audit for the fiscal year ended December 31st, 2024 for the Penn Ridge Library District. Hold it closer. How's that? Oh, okay. Okay, I'll keep it close. I'm not used to the microphone. I will start on the independent auditor's report, which is the first page after the table of contents. This is what's referred to as an unmodified opinion. In layman's terms, we call it a clean opinion. That's the most favorable opinion that you can receive. What that means is the figures in the financial statements are complete and accurately stated. There's no other issues in terms of the audit opinion to bring to your attention. So it's a clean audit report. Want to take you through some of the figures. We can start on page 14. The library only has one operating fund. It's the general fund. This is the statement of revenues, expenditures, and changes in fund balance, budget, and actual. So you'll see it's a 4-column presentation. First column is your original budget. The final budget would encompass any amendments or transfers that were made during the year. Third column is actual revenues and expenditures. And the variance column is the difference between the final budget and the actual. You can see on the revenue side of the budget, the original budget called for 823,000 of revenues to be collected. That was revised upwards to 891,000. Your actual revenue collections for the year were 920,000. So you did better than the amended budget by some $29,000. The largest number in the revenues is the real property tax levy. Generally receive that from the town, full amount that's levied. So you generally don't expect to see a variance on the real property tax line. There's some use of money in property. That's the state chart of accounts naming mechanism where interest income and investment income would be recorded. So all of that is recorded within use of money in property. Also, your rental income from the cottage would be recorded in there. There was a small grant. I believe it was related to the children's room renovation, and also some gifts in that get recorded in the miscellaneous category, and some other, various, miscellaneous rather, like revenue that gets recorded there, and that was some 36,000 greater than the budget. So all in all, you did better than you anticipated by 29,000. On the expenditure side of the budget, the original budget called for 823,000 of expenditures. It was revised to 891,000. The actual spending was 877,000, some 14,000 less than what was anticipated to be spent. You can see the personal services is your payroll, equipment and maintenance, would be any capital related costs or equipment purchase. Contractual is almost everything else. And then employee benefits is the last category. The children's room renovation expenditures are in that contractual line. It's about 45,000 during 2024. That's the reason for the expenditures in excess of the budget in that category. However, in total, you still came under what you anticipated to spend by that 14,000. You'll see in the original budget column, the revenues were 823,000 and the expenditures were also 823,000. So you started with a balanced budget. You didn't anticipate using any fund balance as part of your operations. The final budget was no change. You did spend extra money, but you took in extra revenues in order to spend that. So all of your budgetary surplus becomes your actual surplus. So you can see the 29,000 additional revenues collected and the 14,000 underspending of the budget brings you to a total budgetary variance of 43,173, and that matches the actual increase in fund balance. So the fund balance in the general fund went up by that number, 43,173. The fund balance at the beginning of the year was 1,654,000. You're ending the year at 1,697,000. I want to show you the balance sheet on page 10. The total fund balance on second from the bottom, 1,697,000 that I mentioned from the previous page, comprised of these three categories. The non-spendable fund balance, most of that is some of the donated money that's required to be held in perpetuity. The restricted funds or the other endowment funds that you have, 385,000. And what's remaining is referred to as unassigned fund balance. It's not restricted, it's not encumbered in any way, it's available for use at the discretion of the board. Also, I just want to mention part of your endowment money, as you call it, 218,000, doesn't have any official restrictions on them, or at least the documents were so old that nobody could find any. So 218,000 of those endowment funds fall within the unassigned. So that's part of the 1,168,000 for use at the discretion. The fund balance is a healthy amount. You know, your budget's about 800,000, a little more than 800,000, and you have more than that in fund balance. It's a good amount of fund balance to have. And we've been doing various renovations around the library, fixing things up. So that's what it's there for. In terms of the asset side of the balance sheet, nothing too unique or unusual. Your cash position, cash and equivalents, 972,000. Your investments, which is mostly your municipal bond holdings, 774,000. And there's also the lease receivable. That's the future payments on the cottage rental, and that's 59,000. And a small amount of prepaid expenditures of $678. And that's your total assets, 1,870,000. So mostly in the form of cash and investments, liquid. You have small amount of payables, about 52,000. Deferred inflows of resources is related to the lease receivable. It's kind of an offset. This is the required accounting for it. So that's really just an offset to the lease receivable. So that money, that lease receivable doesn't fall to fund balance because it's really mostly a long-term type asset. And that's really it on the balance sheet. There's nothing new or nothing different from the previous year. I will take you, so when we talk about the general fund, we're following a modified accrual basis of accounting. So it's near-term inflows and outflows of cash. So when you do, say, renovations on the children's room in the general fund, that gets recorded as an outflow of cash and expenditure, and it gets charged against the budget. Municipal, local governments are also required to do full accrual statements. So the general fund, records those type items as an expenditure. The statement of net position, which is reflected on page 8, we would capitalize those type improvements and depreciate them over the estimated useful life, which is, if you're familiar with commercial accounting or not-for-profit accounting, that's kind of what most people are used to. So in the case of this library, the only significant change between the general fund and the statement of net position is really adding in those capital assets, because you don't have any significant long-term debt. If you had bonds payable, it would likewise be recorded as a long-term liability on the statement of net position. The only liability that's been added relates to compensated absences. So that's like accrued vacation or sick time of your employees. And it's a relatively small amount. It's $1,751. But everything else kind of mirrors what's in the general fund. On page 9 is on the full accrual statements. Local governments are required to present. This is the government version of the income statement. It's a little unusual if you're used to looking at a not-for-profit or a commercial entity where the expenses are on the left, 927,000. Program revenues or revenues that directly offset those expenses are in the next column, and then you have a net number to the right-hand side of negative 807,000. Everything that's not a program revenue gets defined as a general revenue, like taxes is the biggest one. So those are your general revenues down below, and then that comes to your change in net position or your essentially your net income. So this is the unique net income presentation. As standards. That's it in terms of financial highlights. In terms of the audit, we're still in draft form. We just need a signed representation letter. I believe we provided that to Jennifer a few days ago. After we received all the information we were waiting for, we did receive the cash confirmations back. We use a service called confirmation.com, which is what Michael did to confirm those balances. So we receive those so we can, independently verify that the cash in the bank really is cash in the bank. It's, one of our standard audit procedures. We also look at various expenditures that were incurred during the year. For instance, the children's room renovation. We look at some of your payroll, reconcile payroll to your payroll reports to make sure they're reported properly. Look at the tax warrant to make sure it agrees to, the revenue that was collected. Generally don't have any issues in terms of property tax collections. The collections handles all the dirty part of those dollars, and the library just, gets the collections. So fairly easy from that point of view. We look at the investment statements, make sure the investment income is properly recognized, reconciled, and things like that. And make sure your payables are appropriate. We're looking at some payments that were made after year end to make sure, all your payments that got made in 2025, if they needed to be charged back, they were, things of that nature. Those are just, some of the things that we do. We did start the audit in February, and, we were provided with certain documents at that time. We did not receive all those documents until, well, really not until this month, actually. So it was kind of a process in order to get everything that we needed in order to get to this point. I think in the future, what I'd like to do, if Jennifer's okay, and, is not schedule the audit until they have everything kind of ready for us, or at least 80%, 90%, kind of ready. I think it would be easier on you and your accountants and us, and it would just be, a bit smoother, I think. And hopefully, I just think it would be easier and, be probably done quicker.
Just to speak to that process, so there was a they in there, and they have everything ready for you. So that would be our accounting staff.
Heidi and Michael, I think I'm saying, that's when I say they, I mean Heidi and Michael, kind of the point people.
That's what I thought. Just want to check.
Yeah. Jennifer is involved like in an oversight, but she's not doing the accounting. So she's aware what's going on, but most of it's coming from them.
And the materials you're asking for are as of 12/31.
Yes. Well, there's cutoff testing. Like we do look at transactions in 25, but most of it's balance sheet date related.
Yeah, I'm just saying, that's a long time for our vendors to get back to our auditor for numbers that are 6 months old. So we should have a conversation with our accountants, set some dates, the when they have to deliver so that you're not delayed. But if it's cheaper to push out our audit, we're happy.
Well, it's
That's
less
okay, you
hair
don't have to
pulling.
answer that,
It's
that's
less
fine.
hair pulling for sure. It would be more efficient. It does help us keep our costs down to have everything ready when we get in. So I think it would offset potential future increases in audit fees by having everything.
Yeah, I work the same way. If has to be a quantum of information before I deploy a team.
Jeff,
If
how
it's
much
not
time
there,
do you
it's not
typically
there.
need? And we'll back into stuff needs to get
How much time do we spend?
Yeah.
I put a staff person here for a week. So basically one person doing all the work plus my review.
Mhm.
And that is enough time.
Okay.
That's
Okay.
It's enough time if
If
it's there.
everything's there.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Any other questions for Jeff?
Jeff, just a quick question. The room was capitalized, the children's room.
Yes.
What's the cutoff from your perspective, or do you just wait to hear we did a big project?
You dollar amount like of capital?
Yeah, I mean, if we spend 8,000 on a roof or something else, there's a leak or something,
There should be like a board approved formal policy, but more likely there's like an informal policy, capital asset, capital addition policy. You won't capitalize anything over 5,000 is probably the most common one. We haven't disclosed here. I can tell you what the number is.
It's okay. We're consistent though, right?
It's actually 1,500. Yeah. So it's a relatively small number.
Okay, that's fine.
But certainly the renovation type stuff would all meet that.
Yeah, I just thought if it's 1,500, we would have more than just children's room, right?
They have to analyze that to determine, certain things are don't have a useful life greater than a year. So
I agree.
yeah.
I think 1,500 is too low. I'm just asking. Children's room seems like that was our story. I do think we have sometimes maintenance that I would guess would be to things that are capitalized versus not.
Could be.
Versus expense.
Could be. Sometimes if you do 10,000 power washing, you guys talked about power washing, that's a maintenance and repair. It
About
might
that
be
copper gutter.
then you get into that stuff gets a little, well, are you extending the life of the asset by doing that? Are you improving the building? Maybe copper. Maybe you are in that case, but those are the kind of,
So
things.
you guys look at that and make a determination in the moment?
No, we expect your accountants to do that. And
Okay.
we will look at it and say,
it's
does
right
this
or
seem
wrong? Okay.
reasonable or does
Okay.
this not seem reasonable?
I'm asking to save work here. It could be maybe it's a recommendation or something. We can do like 10,000. I don't care what it is. It can be actually higher than what I'm thinking, not lower. I'm not looking to get it. I just want to know if there's an amount.
Yeah.
And then we can look at it. Is it a year or not a year? Those kind of things.
Yeah. I think at least 5,000 would be a reasonable number. 10,000 is not crazy either. So it's, somewhere in that ballpark might be your number.
Okay. We'll think about it. Thank you.
Any other questions? Jeff,
Thank you.
I know I signed the letter. I think we did it, so I think we'll get that to you as well.
Okay, so then we will be able to finalize.
Yep. Exactly.
Okay. Great. Thank you.
Thanks so much. Yeah, I think Mike has to sign it as the treasurer. Yep. I was referring to you. Okay, on to committees. John for finance.
I think we're just approving we'll open it up for questions if people have any other further questions on the new budget. The only thing I'll say, given the power washing / rotting wood thing, is I think we have enough in maintenance, but it's something to think about in budgeting and others of doing regular painting, regular maintenance, like start really factoring in, like if it's every other year we paint to catch up, because if there's all these incidents, I get it's an old building, but it's a maintenance question. It's not really, the wood's not old, right? I assume those have been replaced multiple times. So just something to think about, because it might save us in the long run if we keep up on all of those things and just plan for it.
And we did talk about that and adjusted. You're spot on. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and I think that was our experience with the cottage in the past as well. So one thing we should consider, and if Bonnie's really just exterior, you know, do we talk with our tenant at some point to at least either ask them or do our own walkthrough to see if we see anything from a maintenance perspective that has to happen. I know the last time we updated that cottage, we had to do everything because it had had a tenant in it for a very long time and we had not.
Is there something in the lease that allows us to do
I'd
that?
have to check. But I mean, we can at least have a conversation, right? About if there's maintenance that they see. We just had major renovation last time it moved out.
I was thinking, you know, when Jeff gave the number of what, you know, what our income is from the cottage rental, right? So the question is, how much does it cost us each year too? Well, that's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
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 Like the income sounds good, but then how much do we spend?
Yeah. So let's have the legal committee at least look at the lease and see if there's a clause in there in the lease. If there's not, we should consider adding something that at least every 2 years or something, because this lease is now a 2-year lease, that we at least have the ability to do a walkthrough or something so that we can see if there's deferred maintenance that we might want to deal with.
I vaguely recall 4 years ago looking at the lease and that we do have an inspection. But as a representative of the legal committee, I'll be happy to review the lease. Okay, Jennifer, thank you.
I'm just trying, so that's the cottage. How about for the library building itself? Jennifer, do you have a thought on how we should best schedule routine maintenance look-throughs on the building itself?
Sure. So first of all, Bonnie's doing an amazing job. And for all of you suggested that we get her, bravo. Yeah, it's working out really, really well. She's very meticulous and we'll see every little thing. So we are definitely investing in the right the direction. So I would say that she's on top of it, literally week by week as she comes, but she'll do the walkthrough outside as well as inside.
That's what I was going to ask
So
you,
I
because
feel
she's doing
very
inside too.
confident.
Okay, because I thought it was mostly just
Yeah.
outside, so that's great.
Yeah, and our tenants, I think, will be very open to allowing us to do what we're in there once a month to do the pest management anyway. And, you know, it's constantly plumbing, so, you know, we're piping in, it's never been an issue. It is a good idea to have it at least, of course.
I don't think it's be a committee or literally a schedule, self-schedule or something, maybe like a maintenance plan. This is what we painted last. This is what we did.
Yeah, we have.
Yeah, let's at least look at it so that we can think through things like that, especially now that we've done so many renovations.
Yeah, I'd love to put Bonnie in charge of that, so it's updated. And just
Absolutely.
every time
Yep.
septic tank cleaned out, I put the date that it was.
Yep.
Windows cleaned out, yeah, stuff.
Do we have any other questions on the budget? Otherwise, I need a motion to approve the 2026 budget.
I just wanted to point out, I'm projecting it on the screen now. You wanted a letter from Mike Lewis that he had reviewed the budget. And these are his comments. So.
Anyone willing to make a motion?
I motion to approve the 2026 budget.
I second. All those in favor? Any opposed? So carried. Mike, technology, anything?
Nothing new.
Legal governance.
Nothing to report. I missed a couple meetings and I don't know if we dealt with sound. We probably did. Is this a sore subject or is this something
Nope.
I can be caught up on later? We tabled it.
We're not moving forward.
Okay. Well, how much does a microphone cost? You're
It's
kidding.
not the
It's
microphone, it's
extraordinary.
We've been through this.
Well, just, yeah, it's a lot. Yeah. Okay. Then
And then we'll want 3 more. And it'll just never end. Yeah. Some of it's in the minutes too, I'm sure, but probably not to the depth you might want to know. Jenna, public relations.
Oh my goodness, totally. So no major updates, except do want to call out great newsletter. Selena was actually featured in All About the Library. It's called What's the Plan? It's a local newsletter that a local mom writes all about like neighboring towns and activities that families do together. The library is just showcased to be Selena, all of the great here. So it was really beautifully done. We're gonna look to like promote it a little on social, and maybe we can try to get into some more local Substacks. So I'll give that some thought for next time. Also, oh sorry, Jennifer. Just to follow up, I know that I committed, I think 2 meetings ago, to reach out to the person who reached out about rock. I didn't hear back, so I will follow up. That's that.
Just wanted to add that I was interviewed today by someone in the recorder who wanted to do children's activities that we do. So we'll look out for that. Yeah.
And anything for human resources?
No, nothing major to report, but I am guessing that with Morgan taking the test to become a library clerk, we're thinking long-term that we would add hours once she add hours, and that would then lead to possibly another day opening for the library, correct? I mean, we haven't forgotten, okay, but
One thing at a time.
One thing at a time. So that's all I have to report.
Mike, anything on long range? Oh, sorry, go ahead. Sorry.
I actually have nothing to add. I just wanted to
Just
call
wanted to
you
make sure that you got to say that.
No, but I wanted to say that I love that we're doing so much with the reporter. Just keep doing it, and yeah, it's the local newspaper is like thriving, and I'm so glad to see us as a part of it.
Mike, long range planning. Okay. Parking lot. I'm going to do this really quick because I want to get us out of here at a reasonable hour. I think many of you know, we obviously had hired an engineer, build a plan. We were going to go before the planning board on an informational meeting. And when we went to schedule that, they suggested that we meet with the chair of the board, Rebecca, and Jim Perry. So the parking lot committee with our engineer was scheduled to meet. Jennifer represented us as the rest of us were unable to be there. And lots of discussion was had. Lots of ideas were thrown out. I would say from a very high level, and I'll add before I give you the high points, I have yet to meet with the engineer since the meeting. So the parking lot committee met tonight just to rehash what was discussed at that meeting. And the next will be for us to get back with our engineer because we have a whole bunch of questions. I'd say the highlight is the moving the handicap spots across from where they are today was challenging for Rebecca. Concerned about the access close to the front of the road and wheelchair across an active driveway. The second thing that was raised, which has always been raised, is lot coverage. adding that amount of spots, paving that area up in the back, results in increased coverage of the lot. And so that was raised. There's a couple of other little things where the engineer put the handicap spots apparently encroaches on the next door neighbor's property. So there was a question of, do we have to get an easement? That's a question I have for the engineer, because we've never had that discussion before in all the 17,000 years we've been talking about putting handicap spots there. So not really sure why the drawing did that. But anyway, so something that we need to talk about. And I would guess, like, at the end of it, I think my summary, based on not being there, but Jennifer, feel free to jump in, not a lot of support. And so I think we need to talk to the engineer again to find out, is there, based on him being in the room and hearing, does he have any proposals that he thinks could pass muster? Lots of discussion about, you need to hire a lawyer, you need to hire a land use person, you need to hire this, you need to hire that. A little bit of question about, why do you keep saying that we need to be careful about money? You have lots of money. And I think one suggestion was to knock down the cottage and build the parking lot there. So lots of discussions were had. And like I said, I think the summary from my reading the notes is that I'm not sure if there's a feasible answer, but we will find out from the engineer if he heard differently, and then we'll come back next month to share our recommendation as a parking lot committee, which is, what we do next.
I just want to be clear. Who was at the meeting? It was Jim Perry,
Rebecca and,
Rebecca is the chair-
Richard, the engineer.
She's the chairperson and the engineer that we hired. Okay, and your comments are based on what you heard now from
The notes
Jennifer?
from Jennifer,
Okay.
the conversation with Jennifer, and the notes from the engineer.
We have, the notes.
He was on the email chain, so I just
okay.
haven't actually physically had
Gotcha.
verbally
okay.
had a conversation. with
Okay,
him.
thank you.
Yep. All right. That's all I got. Director's report.
I really only have one update, and that is on the trustee election. So there will be 4 seats open at the September 16th election. All 4 will be for a 3-year term. None of the current trustees will be running again. We did hire an election coordinator, Morgan, who is our library clerk, and ads have been placed in the recorder, and they've been in the town supervisor newsletter, our social media, our e-newsletter, the website, recreation department newsletter, and flyers are throughout the library. So we are getting the word out. I've received 1 petition so far, and I have been handing out informational flyers and approaching several people I think would be good candidates. So the word is getting around, just no developments yet, except for the one that's come back. And just a reminder to complete your trustee education hours before the end of the year. I'm sorry, did you have a question? The petition was for Marvin Markowitz. I have not received yet. I do have adjustments here, so he does intend to run as far as I know.
Jennifer, when are the petitions due?
I beg pardon?
The applications to be
August 15th.
August.
Any other questions about the election? Okay. New business. Going once, go ahead.
I don't know if any of you had a chance to check out our new calendar product on the website. We are thrilled with how it's behaving. It's sleek and professional looking, which I'm very happy about. It's really functioning very well. It's taking wait lists automatically. If you get off the wait list and into it, sends you emails. We can send text reminders 24 hours before, email reminders 24 hours before. It's just a lot more user friendly, both on the back end and for the patrons. So thank you all for supporting that decision. I'm just thrilled.
Good, glad to hear it. Any public remarks? Nope, back to new business.
I have a question. So we have 4 seats open. I'll go back to that. 4 seats open, and we have 1 petition so far, right? What if we don't? What happens if we don't get
So
people,
if we
people interested?
So, and by the way, there are some other people that are interested. I
Okay.
think we're going to get 4 petitions, but I could
Okay.
be wrong. But anyway, so if we do not fill all seats, then the Board of Trustees can appoint someone to fill an open spot.
Sorry, it's been a, so can that be people previously on the board or people that already served or aren't on the board anymore or people that
It-
are leaving?
It could, but it cannot be someone that goes beyond 6 consecutive years,
Got it.
i.e. me, just to be clear.
Got it. Or I'm just thinking,
So there is a rule that you can't serve more than 6 consecutive years or 2 3-year terms, or I forget how it's worded. And that's actually not just in our bylaws, that's actually in the New York State law. Okay, with that, we adjourn at 8:36 p.m.